Hey there, everyone. Welcome on into VG Emporium, video game music and more. I'm your host, Rage Cage. Now, today is marking the anniversary of a couple special things here. First one being the 10-year anniversary of my beginning of my backpacking trip across the country. Or actually, that would be yesterday, March 13th, 2014. And I really wanted to do an episode about that, but I just couldn't quite figure out how to approach it, how to really do it, because I'm still reflecting on everything that happened 10 years ago. And plus, I just couldn't quite remember what VGM I was listening to at the time. I have some things I shared on Facebook all that time ago, but just off the top of my head, I can't remember. So I'm really thinking back on it, and there may be a couple episodes talking about this trip. And yeah, VGM was definitely one of the things that sustained me and kept me sane throughout that 6-month trip across the country from basically San Francisco all the way to New York. So yeah, hopefully something I'll be able to do within the next couple months. We'll see. But the second thing that marks this day is my cat, Kutsu, the beloved boy. The guy that you see on the title card if you see it, just turned 2, going off my reckoning of when we initially saw the listing for, kittens that were just born for adoption, and then the 2.5 months that we had to wait to, actually bring him home. So yeah, I'm dedicating this episode to him because, this is definitely the easier of the two, anniversary things. So I'm going to be sharing with you some BGM that, are about cats, such as the opening track, being Title from Asameshimae Nyanko, composed by Toyokazu Negaishi and or Eiji Hirasawa. And that title translates to Piece of Cake Kitty. And this here Super Famicom exclusive is basically just Reversey, except with cats. And how it works is that you take your cats, which are one color, and put them on either side of another cat that is a different color, and it'll flip it to your color. Though occasionally it will break out into a cat fight where you gotta mash buttons, and whichever player mashes the buttons the best wins, which the cat fights is something I'm familiar with because my delightful dingus, being the big boy he is, sometimes likes to kind of get a little aggressive with our other cat, Lotus, who is a kind of more slight Burmese-Siamese blend, so she can fight back. But they don't really break out into big old fights necessarily. They just kind of get annoyed with each other and then just bat, hiss, run around the place and corner each other and then whatever, nothing violent. No blood has been drawn yet. Now, before I get more into telling you about this precious stinky boy of mine, we're going to get into another track, which is going to be The Cat Dancer from the Adlib Music Synthesizer card demo. And now I've not been able to really confirm if this was composed or arranged by, either one of these three. This is Henry Chalafor, Gerard Jones, and Raymond Skilling et al. And that was The Cat Dancer from the Adlib Music Synth card demo. And I don't know who originally composed this, but it was quite possibly arranged by Henry Chalafor, Gerard Jones, or Raymond Skilling. And this really has no relation to my cat. It was just a fun song that had the name Cat in it. This boy, he's too big, he don't dance. He's really big. Kind of clumsy big. But now let me tell you a tale of when we first actually seen him. So we saw the ad about the litter of kittens that got born, so we went to go to this person's house to see him, and I guess between that listing and when we went there, another cat that she had another litter. So there was a mess of kittens to pick from. And there were some really cool, cute looking ones in there. There was a tabby striped one, a tall, solid black one. This one that was kind of like this Gwyneth, white with orange tabby stripes on it. It was really interesting looking. But the one that really stood out to me was this one that was kind of like a smoky gray with white tuxedo coloring. And I just really liked him. And it's like, all right, this is the one that's going home with us. And we initially thought it was a girl because we couldn't tell. None of us could tell what the sex was. We didn't see any giblets in there, so it was a girl. So we had to wait a couple months for, this one to get weaned off and to grow a little bit more. And so we went to go pick them up. It was really nice. It was, kind of freaked out a little. It was definitely meowing a lot on the drive home, but then it slowly just knocked out. Like it was sleeping in my wife's hand. And she or he was just like ragdolling out. It was pretty dang cute. And we decided to name it Kutsu because, I was talking about the white, the tuxedo coloring and the smoky gray. They also had feet, like little boots or socks or shoes or something like that. So we decided to name it Kutsu, which means shoes in Japanese. Yeah? And it was, good girl name. So we get him home. And Lotus, our other cat, does not like this one bit. She's hissing, keeping her distance, low growling, just looking daggers death at it. So we kept a distance, and he was really taken to us, like sitting on my shoulder a lot and just hanging out and really just kind of really feeling it out. And at night kind of got into this habit where he would sleep on my chest. Initially we had this little box, put him in to sleep in and stuff, and then initially kind of started getting onto my chest and sleeping there, and it was just so cute, little guy, this puffy little thing. And as he grew out a little bit more, we tried to figure out what kind of cat he was, because as I said, it was like a smoky gray, little slightly long hair, the white tuxedo thing, and we finally figured out it's what's called a nebelung, which is a long-haired Russian blue, but it has this one interesting feature where the fur has like this kind of weird misty sheen on it, like if the light hits in a certain way, so that's the name Nebelung, or creature of the mist. And this coat would be fully grown in by 2 years, which that's how old he is now, and it's really, really, really cool looking, really full, doesn't really shed a lot, surprisingly. And I can tell you, at being, fully grown at 2 years old, he's a big boy. And not at all like this, the title of this next track that I have coming up here, which is Sneaky Cait Sith, or Cat Shee if you want correct pronunciation. And it's coming from definitely one of the strangest Final Fantasy spin-offs, Dirge of Cerebus, Final Fantasy VII, composed by Masashi Hamauzu. that was Sneaky Cat Shee. But I guess, according to FF7 Rebirth, it's officially pronounced Cait Sith. In-world, do with it as you will. But yeah, my boy Kutsu, not very sneaky. I don't know if there's a lot going on in there at times. Sometimes, just looking at him, I don't know if it's just fluff in there. And, same thing could be said about this game. Dirge of Cerebus, Final Fantasy VII. Very interesting. It's a third-person shooter. You play as Vincent. It has, RPG elements where you level up your guns. There's hit points and stuff, and it's clunky. It's interesting. The story, makes Vincent's character is a lot more fleshed out. Yeah, you could say I kind of got caught up in the FF7 compilation hype train when that was all going on, because, I got this game, I played it, I got Crisis Core, I played the hell out of that, I watched Advent Children a bunch, I had the DVD. The only thing I didn't play was Before Crisis, because that was only on the Japanese feature phones. But yeah, back to Dirge of Cerebus. Yeah, you played as Vincent against what's called the Deep Underground, which is a sect of Shinra that was trapped underneath the Shinra building after all that shit went down, and it's headed by this guy Vice, who was actually taken over by Hojo, because Hojo is back and he's the big bad. He's crazy man. He's into some wacky shit. But at certain points in the game, you actually get to play as Cait Sith. Not with the big Mog plushie thing. That thing is gone by this point. It's like a year after Advent Children. It's just the cat guy. He's just sneaking about, trying to avoid, getting seen and getting attacked, because he can't really do much. All he got is his little blowhorn, his little thing. That's all he's got. And there's many other missions where you can actually do with him. And I have one particular memory of one, which is tough as hell. Big open space. They can see it and they try to attack you. It's been years since I played it. Probably more than 10 years. But if you're interested, I know there's like an HD version on PS4. Give that a shot if you'd like. It is an interesting game. With fantastic music, of course, by Masashi Hamauzu. And I don't need to go into him because he was one of my masters of VGM. If you want to know about him, go check that out. June of 2022. But now, back to my great Gunchunga boy, Kutsu. Yeah, some interesting kitten things. When we initially got him some toys, there was like this little, stick with a feathery string thing. First thing he did with it, he clamped it in his mouth and then drug it around with him, growling all the while, just letting out like this deep growl from a kitten, just dragging this thing. And I tried to pull it away from him, but he had a vice grip on it. And then the same thing happened when we brought this squeaky mouse. Just grabbed it, went underneath the chair, and just was growling. And I tried to pull it away from him and just growling like this. It's insane. He was an insane guy, and he still has that mouse nearly 2 years later. And he does the weirdest things with it. He takes it, drops it in his water bowl, and then he'll take it and put it in his food bowl. And then, when we're, in our bedroom trying to sleep, he'll come in and let out this most, plaintive, help me, what is going on? I have no idea what I am, meow. And just bring it in and have it in his mouth again and just come in and tread on the bed. And, if he finds one of our limbs, he'll start doing some motions, too. He's a very, very strange boy. And also at times, somewhat of a violent boy. Sometimes call him Violence Jack. Because, I go to pet him, and he'll let me pet him, and then he goes to bite and claw and grip, and I also like to call him the bad boy. And that is my not-so-clever segue into our next track, which is Title Screen from Bad Cat. And this is composed by Chris Hülsbeck. And this is a Commodore 64 game, so C64, Chris Hülsbeck, this is going to be a big, long, chunky song. Title screen from Bad Cat comes by Chris Hülsbeck. And yeah, I tried looking into how he's doing sample playback on the SID chip, and I'm still not quite sure on the specifics of it. I just know it has something to do with constantly changing the values of the volume level, which is global, and doing it fast enough, which can simulate digital audio playback. But it still boggles my mind that he's still able to use like the two other channels when the third channel's like going through that rapid volume change, but maybe it's just so fast enough that it's not affecting the other ones. I don't know. Like I said, I tried looking into it. I've looked through multiple forums and still don't have a straight answers to how it works. All I gotta say, it's pretty dang cool. So now this game, Bad Cat, is actually somewhat of a bad game, as I could tell. It's not so great side-scrolling platformer. The picture on the front of the, on the cover looks kind of like my cat Kutsu, has the white paws. The white, instead of being on his chin, is on the nose part. It has a white tip of the tail, but still, kind of looks like him. Bad cat, bad boy. Yeah, it matches. He's done a lot of bad boy things. Like I said, I sometimes go to pet him, and he'll instantly turn into like a bear trap where he'll bite me, claw me, and like he grabs with his canines. Like he'll pinch onto my skin with his canines and not let go. Bad boy. And, he'll tear up plants, as well as being a thug to our other cat. And then just one last thing, he seems to have a thing against closed doors. Like, whenever we have our bedroom door closed, and he's outside of that door, he'll come and pound on it incessantly until we open the door, and then he'll just look at us, and as soon as we move, he runs off into the living room like it's some kind of great game. So then I grab him, bring him in, put him in the room, close the door, go back to bed. A minute later, he's back, pounding at the door to get out, so I open the door, he goes out, close the door, comes back, pounds on the door. I don't know what to do with him. Might as well give him shades, a bandana, and a jean vest because he's a bad cat. But, despite all this complaining and calling him a bad guy and all, he is really a sweet boy. I mean, he's got a really nice loud purr, really likes, cuddling, and I'll pick him up and sling him over my shoulder, and he'll hang out there for a bit. I'll be holding his butt and stuff, and yeah, like I said before, he's my beloved boy. So now we're going to get into our next track here, and this isn't really related to anything, regarding, Kutsu. It's just another really cool cat track. This being Neko Zamurai, Cat Samurai, from the game Neko Zamurai, composed by another one of my masters of VGM, Masafumi Takada. And that was Neko Zamurai, Cat Samurai from Neko Zamurai, composed by Masafumi Takada. And this track plays during the opening sequence, I guess, where you're a regular cat sitting next to a katana, and then this mist pulls in, and then it turns into this anthropomorphic cat samurai guy, and this part starts playing, and he grabs the sword, sheathes it, and it's this whole thing, walking and fending off different fighters and showing credits and stuff, and it's really actually cool looking. For a PS1 game, 1999, the models look really neat. The main character, the cat samurai, has this really prominent square chin and a tail, and just from the little I've seen of it, it definitely looks like an experience. And of course, the music, all being done by Masafumi Takada, is really cool. So now, maybe the one thing that my boy, has in common with this track is that he can be pretty weird, as you may have put together from my tales of what he does with toys. And I love him for it. And now, in truth, he's actually my first actual cat that I could say is mine, because in the past, it's always been my mom having the cat, or, just some random cat adopting us, and, just kind of being for everybody. But this is the first one I've gone and picked out and say, this is my cat. He's my buddy. He can be a dungus sometimes, but he is the beloved boy. But I do not claim the title of cat dad, and neither will I refer to him as my fur baby. There's just something really weird about that to me. Actually, recently went to a cat show because my wife wanted to go to one, and all the people there definitely had that, are those kind of people, cat parents and fur babies. And I just, it's not for me. He's just my buddy. My belligerent, no rent-paying, food-loving, can be quite, like I said, violence jack, buddy cat guy. Kutsu, who is now fully grown at the age of 2. And yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna kind of end things here. So, thank you for coming into VG Emporium and listening to me, ramble on about my boy. So, I like him. And hey, if you happen to like VG Emporium, you can, listen to it on all your favorite podcatchers, though some of them may not be your favorite, I don't know, such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Audible. But if you're wanting to try something really cool, there's TerraPlayer, which is a awesome hub of all kinds of video game related podcasts and VGM radio stations. And then there is, of course, the main website, vgemporium.wordpress.com. And hey, make sure to come back into VG Emporium next week because I have another guest in the form of listener and fellow musician, Crazy Goji, where we're going to be talking about all kinds of different styles of techno and electronica VGM. It's a pretty fun time, I guarantee you that. So now I have one last track here for you. It's a wonderful 9 Lives, which is something I'm going to do my best to give Kutsu. From the SNES game, Eek the Cat, which is based off the animated series that was airing on Fox Kids for some time in the mid-90s. And this is composed by those beloved boys of the Ocean Sound team, Barry Lietch and Dean Evans. And if you're familiar with those names, you know what you're in for.